Exams were looming, and the library was my only refuge, a quiet haven for cramming endless facts into my sleep-deprived brain. The clock ticked past dinner time, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, casting long, eerie shadows across the deserted shelves. Suddenly, a sound pierced the silence. The creak of footsteps. I froze, peering out from behind a towering stack of history books. A figure emerged from the darkened hallway, a woman shrouded in a tattered shawl. Her clothes hung loosely, as if they belonged on a much smaller frame. My breath hitched as I saw her face, pale and gaunt, with haunted eyes that seemed to bore straight into my soul. Her hair, a tangled mess of gray, framed a mouth twisted in a permanent frown. My unease grew as I noticed her hands and feet, twisted at unnatural angles, as if broken and poorly mended. She stopped in front of me, her voice a dry rasp that sent shivers down my spine. "Excuse me," she rasped, "have you seen a little girl? She's about this tall." She gestured with a gnarled hand that barely reached her waist, wearing a red dress with a white bow. My heart hammered against my ribs. I hadn't seen any little girl. But this woman, with her unsettling appearance and frantic demeanor, scared the living daylight out of me. I stammered out a nervous, "No," and watched in horror as her eyes widened in despair. A scream, raw and filled with anguish, erupted from her throat. I scrambled back, knocking over a tower of books in my haste. The clatter echoed through the library, amplifying my terror. Without a second thought, I bolted, heart pounding in my ears, tears stinging my eyes. I didn't stop running until I burst through the front doors of the school, collapsing onto the steps in a gasping heap. The cool night air felt like a slap in the face, but it did little to calm my racing heart. The next day, news spread like wildfire. Mrs. Davis, the school librarian, had found the library in a shambles the night before. Books scattered everywhere, a chair overturned. But amidst the chaos, one detail sent chills down my spine, a single, faded red hair ribbon with a white bow. Later that day, a hushed conversation between teachers confirmed my worst fears. Years ago, a young girl had gone missing on these very grounds, a girl with a red dress and a white bow. A shiver ran down my spine as I realized the truth. The woman in the library wasn't a flesh and blood person, she was a ghost, a mother forever searching for her lost child in the silent halls of the school. That night, huddled under my blankets, the image of the woman's haunted face played on loop in my mind. Her desperate search, her heart-wrenching scream. The encounter left an indelible mark, a chilling reminder that sometimes the quietest places can harbor the darkest secrets. So next time you find yourself alone in a deserted building, remember, the shadows might hold more than just textbooks and dust bunnies. This story stars yours truly, Scarlett, the brave, or so I thought, adventurer. Me and my two best buds, Henry and George, planned a weekend camping trip in the Apoplexy National Forest, a name that should have been the first clue. Finally, after weeks of hype, we were there, setting up camp under a sky ablaze with stars. Barbecue sizzling, stories shared around the crackling fire, everything was perfect. "See," I bragged, "camping isn't scary at all." Henry and George exchanged amused glances. Yeah, Henry chuckled, "We'll see how brave you are after a night alone in the woods." A shiver danced down my spine, but I puffed out my chest. "Bring it on." Exhaustion eventually won, and I retreated to my tent. Sleep came easy, but then, a guttural growl ripped through the peaceful night. My heart hammered against my ribs. Monsters. Wild animals. Panic clawed at my throat. Bursting out of my tent, I raced to the boys' side. "Henry. George. Did you hear that?" They were sound asleep. Frustration and fear simmered. "Guys, wake up." I hissed. Nothing. Finally, I decided to wake them up myself. "Henry, George, come on, it's not funny." Silence. Dread coiled in my stomach. Could they have wandered off? Had something happened? My phone, useless, no signal. Taking a deep breath, I steeled myself. There was no choice, I had to find them. Stepping into the forest was like entering a different world. The darkness was absolute, the air thick and heavy. Every rustle, every snap of a twig sent shivers down my spine. Henry. George. I called out, my voice trembling in the stillness. No answer, just the mocking silence of the trees. Tears welled in my eyes. This camping trip, supposed to be a fun adventure, had turned into a nightmare. Minutes bled into hours, my fear morphing into a desperate need to escape. Turning on my heel, I raced blindly through the woods, the sound of my own ragged breaths the only company. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, I stumbled upon the familiar glow of the highway. I flagged down a passing car, relief flooding through me as I climbed inside. The drive home was a blur, a mix of exhaustion and guilt. This camping trip was a lesson learned the hard way. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is admit your limits, and maybe, just maybe, leave the monster hunting to the professionals. So next time you're planning a camping trip, remember, the wilderness can be beautiful, but it can also be a place where shadows hold secrets best left undisturbed. Well, buckle up, because this story involves me, Olivia, a seasoned travel nurse, and a chilling encounter on the Erie Early Care Unit, Montana State Hospital. That was my current haunt. This particular night, my assigned floor was quiet, so I got pulled down to the ECU, prime territory for restless patients and long, uneventful hours. Or so I thought. 3 a.m. rolled around, shattering the silence with the insistent buzz of a call light. It came from room 4, a patient named Annabelle. Heading in, I braced myself for the usual, a need for pain meds, a chat about missing home. Instead, Annabelle was wide-eyed, her voice trembling. "There's a nurse here," she whispered, gesturing to the corner of the room. "Keeps coming in and just stands there. It's creepy." I scanned the room, bathed in the dim glow of the nightlight. Empty. Just Annabelle and me. "There's no one here, Annabelle," I reassured her gently, figuring it was just a bad dream brought on by medication. "But I see her." Annabelle insisted. "She's a woman, but it's too dark to see her face." A shiver ran down my spine. Dismissing it as an overactive imagination, I helped Annabelle use the bathroom, assuring her there were no ghostly eavesdroppers. Leaving the room, I filed Annabelle's encounter under nightmares and returned to the nurse's station. A few hours later, when I checked back on Annabelle, my blood ran cold. She was gone. Not transferred, not discharged. Lifeless on the cold bathroom floor. A knot of dread formed in my stomach. Had her fear manifested? 3 months later, fate, or lack thereof, landed me back on the ECU. Room 4, of course. This time, my patient was Mr. Howard, a pleasant gentleman in his 60s. The night unfolded uneventfully until, you guessed it, 3 a.m. Mr. Howard's call light flickered to life. His voice, usually calm, held a tremor of fear. "Are you a minor, young lady?" he asked, his eyes darting towards the corner. I forced a smile. "Not quite, Mr. Howard. Nurse Olivia at your service." "Then why does that woman keep coming in here and just stands there?" My heart hammered in my chest. "What woman, Mr. Howard?" He glanced at me, then back at the corner. "This isn't the first time this has happened, is it?" A cold sweat prickled my skin. I don't know what you mean, sir," I stammered. "Don't worry," he said, his voice a low murmur. "Remember Annabelle? Same room. Same ghostly visitor." My breath caught in my throat. "Ghostly visitor?" I whispered. Mr. Howard leaned closer. "There was a nurse here in the 90s, he confided. Overworked, stressed. One night, they found her here in the bathroom. Dead." A sick feeling washed over me. And patients have seen her." He nodded. "They say it's her ghost." Suddenly, the silence in the room pressed in on me like a physical weight. I dismissed Mr. Howard's concerns with a forced laugh, but the encounter left a chilling mark. The ECU no longer felt just like a sterile hospital unit, it felt haunted, a place where the shadows held the restless spirit of a tragedy long past. So, the next time you find yourself in a hospital at night, remember, sometimes the real chills aren't from the air conditioning. They might be from a presence unseen, a whisper of a forgotten sorrow echoing down the halls. Sleep tight. Now listen to these 5 stories which will haunt your dreams. Click on the video on the screen.